There are two inferolateral surfaces which lies between the anterior border and lateral border and inferolateral border. So this surface is called as inferolateral surface. It is not covered by peritoneum. Superior surface is covered by peritoneum, but this surface is not covered by peritoneum. It will lie inside the true pelvic cavity. So it will be related to the muscles of the pelvic cavity, that is mainly levator ani muscle as well as obturator internus muscle and the fascia covering these two muscles. Beyond these muscles and bladder, you will get a layer of pad of fat, and this is called as a retropubic pad of fat. In this retropubic pad of fat, you will get the venous plexus of the bladder, which is called as the vesical venous plexus. So this retropubic pad of fat always acts as a pad of shock absorbent medium. So it normally prevents the bladder from direct damage. When it is distended, it will try to touch the pelvic walls. So it will act as a cushion and prevents the direct impact on the bladder. Coming to the borders now, this is the anterior border coming from the apex to the neck. It will separate the two inferolateral surfaces. This is the posterior border which will separate the superior and the base, and usually it extends between the two ureters. You can see here that is the superior border. These are the two lateral borders which will run from the apex up to the ureteric orifices, and it will separate the superior and the inferolateral surfaces. These are two inferolateral borders which will separate the base from the inferolateral surfaces. Coming to the neck, the lowest constricted part is called as the neck, and actually from here starts our urethra. So it will be situated 3 to 4 centimeters posterior to the pubic symphysis. In cases of males, it will be surrounded by this gland which is called as the prostate gland. In females, you will not get such type of the glands, but it will rest on the deep perineal pouch which is called as the urogenital diaphragm. Now, normally bladder has a tendency to change its position when it is filled by urine. So definitely it will be anchored with the help of the thickenings of the connective tissue bands or parametric tissue it is called as, which is a condensation of the muscle fibers as well as the pelvic fascias in the pelvic cavity. So these all ligaments will try to keep the bladder in position whatever may be the distension. So these ligaments are called as the true ligaments because they are coming from the parametric tissue. When there are the folds coming from peritoneum, they are called as the false ligaments. So we are going to deal only with the true ligaments. So you will get a pair of lateral ligaments. So these are the pair of lateral ligaments. They will come from the side of the neck of the urinary bladder and they are shifted to the lateral wall of the pelvis. Anteriorly, you will get puboprostatic in cases of males and pubovesical ligaments in cases of females. So these are the pair of two ligaments situated on the each side of the pubic symphysis, and they will extend from the neck of the neck of the urinary bladder, and they will be going up to the posterior surface of the pubic symphysis. Can you follow that? So in females, these ligaments are called as pubovesical. In males, they are called as puboprostatic. Now coming from the apex of the urinary bladder going up to umbilicus. This ligament is called as the median umbilical ligament. It is actually running from the apex to umbilicus and it is considered as the embryological remnant of the urachus. So we have seen the true ligaments, pubovesical ligaments or puboprostatic ligaments. Then coming from the posterior surface of the urinary bladder encircling the uterus and rectum, it will go laterally up to the S3 vertebra, and this is called as the posterior true ligaments. Can you follow? So these are all ligaments. Again, I will revise: lateral true ligaments, puboprostatic or pubovesical ligament. This is the median umbilical ligament, and this is the posterior ligament. When we open the interior of the urinary bladder, you will get a very translucent, smooth colored triangular area in the posterior part, and that is called as the trigone of urinary bladder. So if you see through cystoscopy, these are the two ureteric openings here. They will run inside like this, and you can see this is the upper margin. These are the two lateral margins, and this is the apex. So this is called as the base of the triangle. This is called as the apex of the triangle. Remaining part of the bladder, you can see there are irregular muscular folds, and they are because of one muscle that is called as detrusor. Detrusor will be absent in this area. So this is called as the interior of the bladder, which is called as the trigone of bladder or trigonum vesicae. Now, what are the boundaries of this trigonum vesicae? You can see here, this is the apex of the trigone. This is the trigone here. This is the apex of the trigone, which is directed downwards, and it is formed by one opening. This opening is called as internal urethral orifice. Now, roughly, it is crescentic in shape. In cases of males, it may be elevated because of the median lobe of prostate. In such cases, it is called as uvula vesicae. This is the base here, which runs between the two ureteric orifices, and you will get the muscle coat of the ureter forms this boundary. It is running like this. It will produce an elevation, which is called as the Mercier's bar. So base will be formed by the Mercier's bar, and these are the two lateral sides. These lateral sides are called as the uretero-urethral ridges. Uretero-urethral ridges. Can you follow? And these are the two posterolateral angles which are formed by the openings of the ureters. Normally in empty bladder, they lie at a distance of 2.5 centimeters from each other. But when the bladder is fully distended, it may increase in size, remaining for about 5 centimeters distance between each other. Blood supply, it is the superior vesical artery, then inferior vesical artery, which are the branches of internal iliac artery. Additional supply will be coming from the obturator artery, inferior gluteal arteries. In females, additional blood supply is coming from the other arteries which are supplying the uterus and fallopian tube. These are called as the uterine artery and the vaginal artery. Now coming to the venous drainage, the veins, they will form a plexus or a network surrounding the urinary bladder as well as prostate in cases of males. And these veins together, the plexus is labeled as vesical venous plexus. Now veins from this plexus, they will pass backwards and drain into internal iliac veins. The plexus also drains the prostate. Lymphatic drainage, yes, there are the lymph nodes which are in relation to the internal iliac nodes and lateral nodes. All the lymphatic drainage of the urinary bladder is carried to the internal iliac nodes and the lateral aortic group of lymph nodes. Coming to the nerve supply, now this is more important. We classify the nerve supply into 4 compartments. Okay, we will call it as sympathetic, parasympathetic, somatic, and sensory. Keep in mind. So these are the 4 types of the nerve supply, and this can be asked as a short note for 4 marks. So coming to the nerve supply, sympathetic nerves. Yes, sympathetic nerves, they come from the segments of the spinal cord. Now, which segments of the spinal cord will be responsible? You can see T11 to L2 segments. Yes, coming from T11 to L2 segments of the spinal cord, they will give sympathetic innervation. Now, the sympathetic nerves are normally called as nerve of filling. Means what they will do? The nerve of filling means they will try to fill the urinary bladder. So they will be motor to the sphincter vesicae. Okay, sphincter vesicae will be surrounding at the level of the urethra. So it will close, it will open the ureteric orifices, it will relax the detrusor muscle. So more amount of urine will be collected inside the bladder. Apart from the role of the filling of the urine, it will also act as the vasomotor fibers. So it will act on the blood vessels and allow the constriction and dilatation of the blood vessels. So this is about the sympathetic innervation. Keep in mind it is coming from T11 to L2 segments. So here we have shown L1 and L2 segments. So these are sympathetic fibers which are carried here. So you can draw this diagram also. Second role is the parasympathetic fibers. Now these parasympathetic fibers, the name of these nerves is also called as the pelvic splanchnic nerves, or they are also called as the nervi erigentes. If you see, they will arise from the lower segments of the spinal cord, mainly sacral segments. So they are coming from S2, S3 and S4 segments. So the role of these nerves will be opposite to the sympathetic fibers. They will be helping in the that is the emptying of the urinary bladder. So they will stimulate the peristaltic movements. So definitely they will be inhibitory to the sphincter. So sphincter vesicae will be dilated or it will opened up, and it will act upon the detrusor muscle for contraction. So that will initiate the peristaltic movements. So remember, sympathetic will be called as the nerve of filling, and parasympathetic nerve will be called as nerve of emptying. Then there are somatic nerves. Somatic nerves means those usually supply the body wall. They also supply the sphincter. So they are usually supplying our perineum. These nerves are coming from the pudendal nerve. The root value is again similar to the pelvic splanchnic nerves. That is S2, S3, S4. Only these are somatic nerves. So these nerves are responsible for the act of micturition, and they will supply mainly the sphincter vesicae. This is the sphincter vesicae and this is the sphincter urethrae. So sphincter vesicae is at the neck of the bladder, and sphincter urethrae is where the commencement of the urethra. It will control the urethral orifice. Okay, that is called as the sphincter urethrae. So this is somatic nerve supply sphincter urethrae, while sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves, they will supply sphincter vesicae. So somatic nerves, the root value is S2, S3, S4. Parasympathetic also, the root value is S2, S3, S4. The difference is that they will be autonomic nervous system, while these are somatic nerves. So these are responsible for the act of micturition. Okay. Coming to the sensory innervation, pain sensations, usually we feel the pain when bladder is over distended. Now this pain sensation, it is carried by our parasympathetic nerves mainly, and partly by the sympathetic nerves. Now these pain sensations will be aroused here. They will be carried through these two autonomic nervous system, and they will enter into the spinal cord through one tract. The name of the tract is lateral spinothalamic tract. From that, it will be carried to the posterior column of our spinal cord, and then to the higher centers. Higher center in the cerebral hemisphere, it is the paracentral lobule. So usually we have that awareness of the bladder distension, and that is a distension, and through that posterior or lateral spinothalamic tracts, and normally we will have that feeling of micturition also. So this is about the nerve supply. That is the sympathetic nerves, parasympathetic nerves, somatic nerves, and sensory nerves. So you take it down all these points. You may not get such points in the books. So I will give you 5 minutes, write it down. Also, you can take a snapshot also through your mobiles. But prepare this as a short note. Okay. Shall I change the slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Coming to the applied anatomy, yes. Now you should know, depending upon the nerve supply, varieties of the bladder. So when you will go through the patients, you will understand this. We are having varieties of the bladders because of the disturbances in the nerve supply. First is called as the automatic bladder. It is also called as the reflex bladder. What happens? This is called as the spinal shock. Now, what happens in the spinal shock? There is a division of spinal cord. It is called as a transection of the spinal cord. This is above S2 segment. So definitely, sympathetic innervation will